Okay, let us stand for a prayer and the pledge of allegiance.
Would you please bow your heads? Lord, how wonderfully blessed and thankful we are that you've given us this opportunity to come together. Lord, we pray for the parish of Caddo and the city of Shreveport, and for our mayor, oh Lord, and we pray for all of the leaders thereof. Bless us as we go forward to make decisions on behalf of this city and parish. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to the regular scheduled public meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals of the Shreveport-Caddo Parish Metropolitan Planning Commission. For public hearing agenda items, if you wish to make public comment on an application, we have comment slips at the speaker stand next to the podium. For future notification purposes, it is very important that you fill out a slip and drop it in the box when you come forward to speak. Please state your full name, mailing address, and zip code before addressing the board. We will call each case on the agenda in order and first hear from the applicant, then those speaking in favor. 10 minutes are allotted for the principal spokesperson and 3 minutes for each additional speaker. We will then hear from those wishing to speak against an application. Again, 10 minutes are allotted for the principal spokesperson and 3 minutes for each additional speaker. One representative of the application can then speak in rebuttal if desired. After hearing comments on each case, the board will then immediately deliberate and vote on that case before moving on to the next case on our agenda. Please note that when the board is deliberating, members of the public are not permitted to comment. Any member of the public may request a copy of the board's decisions on a particular case by contacting our office at 318-673-6480 after 1 p.m. tomorrow, or by accessing our website at shreveportcaddompc.com. All ZBA board decisions on cases within the city limits of Shreveport are subject to appeal to district court. All ZBA decisions on parish cases are subject to appeal to the parish commission. Please note that it is your responsibility to contact either district court or the parish administrator's office about their procedures as related to the matter you are concerned with. Copies of this document and the phone numbers to contact the governing bodies are available on the table next to the podium and in the entryway to this room. As a courtesy, please remember to turn off all cell phones while the ZBA is in session. The Zoning Board of Appeals values your testimony and appreciates your compliance with these guidelines. All right. First case, case number one.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir, the minutes.
Point of order. Approval of minutes.
Right. Has anyone had a chance to look at the minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Move to approve minutes from September 18th.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes. Let us vote. All right, motion carries. Okay, case number 19-300-BAP, an appeal, Blanchard, Walker, O'Quinn, and Roberts.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. Tom Arsenault, 333 Texas Street, Suite 700, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71101. This is a matter that y'all continued 3 months ago because the issue is not so much the fence as where the fence has to go. So I believe the parties have now reached at least agreement in principle, and I've circulated contracts to try and incorporate that agreement. After that, I think that that there will be an application for a small variance, but mostly the fence is going to be built, but we'll know where it's going to be built. So we would respectfully request that this matter be continued for another 90 days to give us a chance to do that, or for 3 meetings, not necessarily 90 days, but until I guess that's till your January meeting. Okay. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Anything from the board? All right, I want to make a motion to accept this. Yeah, is anyone else speaking for case number 19-300-BAP, the appeal? Is there anyone speaking against case number 19-300-BAP? Okay, what do I hear?
I make a motion that we defer this to the January meeting.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded that the case be postponed to the January meeting. Let's vote.
Oh, I missed the wrong one. I need to change my vote, please.
So your vote was yes?
My vote was yes.
You can go ahead and minutes as yes.
Fat fingers.
Before you leave,
Dr.
Mr.
Can you
Chairman.
re-vote for me, please?
For everybody.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
Dr.
just before Mr. Arsenault leave, I'm sort of excited because I've been around the city for 26 years. And this is the first time at our meeting I've seen so many flashbacks from the past and President as elected and appointed official of the city. If you would just indulge me for a second.
Yes,
We
sir.
have a former city councilman with Mr. Arsenault. We have a current city councilman with Mr. Bradford. We have a former CAO, Chief Administrative Officer of the city of Shreveport, Mr.
You got me already.
Crawford. Brian Crawford. That's what age does for you, Mr. Crawford. And a former city attorney with Mr. William Bradford. So it was really interesting just sitting here looking at them, and it's just I'm just real proud to see them still in participation in making the city a better place. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Robert, can you vote?
Vote again.
Oh.
I messed up.
Thank you.
All right, motion carries. Next case, case number 19-303-BAP for sign variance, Willis Knighton Health System.
Good afternoon, Chairman Hendricks and board
Good afternoon,
members.
sir.
I'm Brian Crawford. I'm the Chief Administrative Officer and Senior Vice President for Willis Knighton Health Systems. And I'm representing the health system today on a sign variance. And really, I do want to comment first before we actually get into the subject matter and just say that your executive director is phenomenal. Such a breath of fresh air from some of the prior dealings and the prior administration, and really trying to work with businesses to help them get off the ground and in this case improve the quality of service that we provide to the community. Willis Knighton is looking for direction from this board, and I've spoken with Mr. Clark as well as Mr. Jean, and they provided exemplary direction for us and how to maneuver some of these, especially with the UDC. That's a daunting document, and there's a lot of stipulations in there. And certainly we want to be accommodating of all of those stipulations. Willis Knighton is requesting a variance to construct a billboard, an electronic billboard similar to one that you would see not as big on Greenwood Road and I-20 that is now constructed, but more along the lines of a 24 by 12 structure, so very much smaller. We've done a similar one at our Willis Knighton Bossier facility. If you get on Airline Drive, you want to fight that traffic over there, you'll see a much smaller rendition of that billboard. And I've got probably be easier for me. I'm going to show you a couple of these, and then I'm going to just pass them around. They're very lightweight, and you can hold on to them. This is the one that we have in Bossier, so it's a smaller 12 by 24 version. It's about 35 feet high, and so it's 288 square feet. It'll have a sign facing on each side, and it's not going to be for commercial use. I mean, we're going to promote welfare, things that are in the community, things that you'll see on these billboards. This is a National Breast Cancer Awareness Month issue on here. Another one may say something about pediatric care. So it's not going to be for sale for other people. You're not going to see a Johnny's Pizza flash around there. And more than that, it's for directional purposes too. I'm going to place this on the overhead, if you don't mind, and I've got a hard copy here. So speaking logistically of exactly where this billboard would go, you have it up here in front of you, and I'll motion to it on this sign is, just to give you a reference, Uri Drive is here, and so this is Burt Coons Industrial Loop is here, and this is our Willis Knighton Piermont facility. And so we own all the property up to where you see the marker extend at East Kings Highway and Burt Coons, and we're looking at putting the sign on that distal corner intersection. And the primary reason we're looking at putting it there and not, say, next to one of our buildings here is we plan on developing all of this property in the near future. That, of course, is still in the development phase, and we'll be coming back to you with those plans in the future. But also, if this map would extend, you would see 70th Street. You would see traffic, heavy Bossier traffic coming over from the bridge, both Shreveporters going over there to work and coming back in the afternoon. It's also going to be a directional sign. So emergency room this way, those types of things. So when people are coming around this bend and they can't visualize this hospital when they reach that intersection, they'll be able to see a lit illuminated sign that says, hey, the hospital emergency room is this way, pediatric care is this way, and those services. So we think that's very important as well. I'm going to pass some of these signs around so you can get a better look at it. This way, this way. Gotcha. This is the drawing that we have, and this is Capital Signs, who have actually constructed our signs before. They're professionals. They're going to be making sure that they maintain all of the code restrictions as far as the setbacks, the footage. If you look at, you can even pull it up on Google Map, and I'm sure all of you have that on your phones. There's no residential structures in that area. The closest one is more than 500 feet away. The businesses that you will find in that area are the LSU Veterinary Clinic and some other small mom and pop shops that are along East Kings Highway there. I think the BMW dealership is going to go in catty corner to that facility. So it's a commercial, heavy travel traffic area. We wanted to be mindful to any neighbors that are in that area, especially when you have an illuminated sign, that it's not going to protrude on their privacy. And there's nothing in that area that would do that. The nearest house is, I think, a quarter of a mile away. This is what the sign would look like. Again, you see the height is about 35 feet. There's a small man here so you can see. So it's smaller than even some of the commercial signs that would be allowed in a properly zoned area. So we were mindful of that too, not putting a big sign out there, just something that was small enough to not be intrusive, but large enough actually to get people's attention to where they knew that the medical center was just down the road and they would be able to do that. So I'll pass that around as well. So the physical description of the sign, as I talked about before, is a 12 by 24 illuminated sign. It will have two surface areas, 35 foot high by 24 feet wide. It's 23 feet from the bottom of the sign to the ground level. Talked about the property. We talked about the variances and the setbacks. We would abide by all of those that are stipulated in the UDC as well. Again, we worked closely with Mr. Clark and his staff to make sure that we maintained all of those, and we would do that through the construction phase and as far as the signage goes as well. So I'm going to pass around a couple of these too. Again, this is our Bossier facility. One of the things that was kind of interesting in Bossier, and we would be amenable to this if this body so chose to do this, we knew that in the stipulations that are in the UDC right now that it requires to have a 200-inch marker as far as who owns the sign on both sides. Bossier required actually a marker on the bottom, and you can see that's quite a bit larger than 200 square inches that designated that who the sign was owned by. They wanted to do that because they wanted to separate from commercial signage on there. They wanted to stipulate that, hey, this is kind of a different, not just a commercial sign, this is actually a business sign. So they required us to put Willis Knight and Bossier Health Center. And we're amenable to do that if this body so chooses to put that up there. So it does identify it a little bit more that, hey, this is a health center sign, this is a private sign on private property used for directional and for community relations information that is directed back toward the hospital. So I'm going to pass that around. Mr. Clark, keep wanting to hand you everything. And again, some of the messaging on here is the pediatric clinic is there. This is a pretty good example of how it would be constructed with a little bit of a not flat, but a little bit so we can catch all four corners of Burt Coons and the East Kings Highway corridor. And in conclusion, we would abide by the UDC, and if we were granted permission by this body, we would have it constructed within 6 months. And I'd be glad to answer any questions that you have.
I guess this is a question for staff. Do we have an opinion about the marker at the bottom?
We really don't think it's necessary, but if they're inclined to do it, we would be more than.
I think we'd like the option to put it on there if that's possible. And maybe we could mock up 2 signs and
Okay,
present
we
it
can
to
review
the
it
executive
first.
staff and get their opinion on it.
We'd be more than happy to.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Clark.
All right, thank you, Mr. Crawford.
Thank you.
Anyone else speaking for case number 19-303-BAP?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman.
Yes,
My
sir.
name is Willie Bradford. Mr. Chairman, to be transparent, I also am an employee of Willis Knight Health System, and I'm here to speak for your support of this project. I had an opportunity to meet with Mr. Crawford as well as to, like you are doing, speak with the staff and seeing if this modification indeed would fit within the UDC. My understanding, where it's packaged as being not an advertisement, but more as a sign of presence and directions to the facility, which I think would be needed as that area is growing, and signage is always a good thing to happen. So I just wanted to express my support of this endeavor and ask that you would support it as well. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Councilman. Anyone else speaking for case number 19-303-BAP? Is there anyone speaking against case number 19-303-BAP? There are none. Do I hear a motion?
Move to approve. Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Berry, second by Mr. Balcom. Let us vote. Motion carries. Next case number 19-304-BAP, Jane Tappy, am I pronouncing that correctly?
Good afternoon. It's
afternoon.
actually Jane Tappy. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm here speaking actually for my client. I'm
Look at your
representing
address, Ms. Tappy.
C21 8575 Fern Avenue, Shreveport, Louisiana 71105.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, it's pretty simple. The variance we're asking for, please. The gentleman, the owner, he owns the 2.6 acre parcel that is all together. Y'all have this in front of you, right, that I'm referencing? Okay. He owned the whole 2.6 acres. He's considering selling one of the houses that are side by side. With that, he has to put a new septic system in, which requires a 1 acre portion to put a septic system on, and we're just a little bit shy in dividing that 2.6 into 1.6 and 1 acre, and that's what we're asking for our variance for.
Okay.
There are a couple issues with the houses being kind of close to each other, but your staff did send a letter saying that they were in agreement that, you know, we should move forward. And speaking of staff, kudos to Jake. He's an excellent helper. He helps you when you're lost and when you don't know what to do. He's really, really good. So that's what we're asking for, please.
All right, thank you.
Any questions?
No, not just,
Just informationally, Ms. Tappy, we noticed that the image that I think you or your client provided with the overlay of the lots with the yellow and blue lines,
Yes, sir.
I know it's not an accurate representation of a survey per se, and the aerial view appears to be slightly different, but there is a lot line on that drawing that cuts through the house, the white structure on the picture to the right of the property line. So there is a question of, you know, the size, once that lot line is adjusted to allow for that house's setback. There may be a slight variance in the lot size, which I think we'll address, you know, in our motion, but just so you're aware of that issue, if that comes up as you go through the process with staff.
Okay, yes, sir, and we have verified, these are the visuals that come off of the
Sure.
website. So it is actually 85 feet over to the west, and it will clear the house by 15 feet. And so, yes, sir,
Thank you very much.
you're welcome.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Tappy.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else speaking for case number 19-304-BAP? Is there anyone speaking against case number 19-304-BAP? There are none. Other motion?
I motion to approve with the variance of no more than 70 feet,
No less.
no less than 70 feet.
Second.
It's been moved by Ms. Pearson, second by Mr. Balcom. Let's vote. Okay, motion carries. Next case, case number 19-305-BAP, Tina Danver.
Thank you. My name is Tina Danver. My current address is 6806 Greenwood Road. This is a property that I'm renting, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71119. The address that I'm wanting to put a home on is the 5807, Pine Hill Road. On this property, there's already a small home, but the home has been made to where it cannot be lived in. I have taken all of the water facilities out of that home. Anything that had to do with being able to use water. The only thing that small property or that small home is used for right now is just basically storage. I'm wanting to put a home on the back part of the property after the fence line. There's already a septic system on the property, but the septic system is going to have to be redone because it's going to have to be moved to the back of the property. That's already a part of what's been figured into my loan amount. I don't really know what else to say.
Oh, okay.
I've never done anything like this before.
So Ms. Danver, the structure that is there will remain?
The structure that is there, once the home is put in place, because it's only storage right now, is going to be removed.
Okay.
It's a much older home. It's very worn down and run down, and it would take, even to try and make it waterproof, so it wouldn't rain into it, it would take way too much money, so.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Is anyone else speaking for case number 19-305-BAP?
My name is Scott Nelson. I also live with, that's my roommate, Tina Danver. We are getting the house together.
I'm sorry, state the address again for me, sir.
It's for 5807 Pine Hill Road. We've done a lot of work on the property already, clearing up space for everything. We've already got a driveway put down, gravel driveway all the way to the back area where the carport will be at, next to the house. It would be just great to have it approved for the variance. At one point in time, it was a complete acre. I guess in the past few years, we found out that 1/10 of the acre was taken off for more right away to the road.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else speaking for case number 19-305-BAP? Is anyone speaking against case number 19-305-BAP. There are none. What do I hear?
I make a motion to approve.
A second.
It's been moved by Mr. Balcom, second by Ms. Pearson.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
It's a question mainly for Mr. Clark and Mr. Jean for administrative purposes. Do we, I know the applicant stated that the house would be removed. Do we would like add a stipulation that that house be removed in a certain time frame? Or does it matter that it stays?
There's already a provision in the code that allows
Okay.
for,
I just know in the past, before the UDC, we would want that stipulation that it be taken down, but I didn't know if.
we now have language
Okay.
that allows them to go ahead and put that in place, and then they have 30 days.
Right. Okay, thank you.
This is just a storage structure.
Right.
It's not actually another residence.
Okay.
That's all I need.
All right, motion still on the floor. Let's vote. All right, motion carries. Next case, case number 19-317-BAC, Blanchard, Walker, O'Quinn, and Roberts.
Afternoon, Mr. Chairman, staff,
Afternoon.
members of the board. I appreciate your time today. Since we last spoke, I know we had a detailed presentation in the last meeting. We have had a conversation with the DOTD as well, and we're gathering some additional information for them, which includes a site survey. We have not gotten that back at this time, and I think it will be material to our conversation that we have. So at this time, I'm asking that the board would postpone our hearing until the next scheduled meeting.
Name and address for the records.
Say again?
Your name and address.
Oh, I'm sorry. William Bradford, Blanchard, Walker, O'Quinn, and Roberts. William Bradford, 333 Texas Street, Suite 700, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71101.
All right, thank you. Anyone else speaking for case
Mr.
number?
Chair,
Yes, sir.
Before we leave, if you would just sort of elaborate a little, Mr. Bradford, on the additional information that you all feel that would be
Absolutely.
important to us making a decision.
Yes, sir. One of the discussions we had was the grade of the interstate and the undulations that occur on our property. I think one of the considerations to be made on the variance is how the property, at no fault of the property owner, is situated in relation to the other various extraneous factors that include the level grade of the interstate itself. And so we are getting a site survey done to see how far below grade we are. And DOTD will also, and we're going to ask that this be considered during our discussion when we are able to present the case in chief. But for right now, we are still out on that survey and do not have a determination at how far below or even above grade we are. We just want to make that material determination before we move forward.
Anything else from the board? All right, thank you, sir. Anyone else speaking for case number 19-305-BAP? All right, anyone speaking against case number 19-305-BAP? Correction, case number 19-317-BAC. All right. Do I hear a motion?
Move to defer and continue for 30 days to our next meeting.
Second.
It's been moved to defer by Mr. Berry and second by Mr. Balcom. Let's vote. Okay, motion carries. Deferred.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Next case, case number 19-318-BAC, Carol Cotton.
Thank you. I'm Carol Cotton, here for my son Benjamin Cotton, resident of 1709 Captain Shreve Drive. We're here for a variance to add a new carport in front of the house because this we're not able to add one on the side. We're down on a corner and we're boxed in pretty tight on both sides with our neighbors. there was a sketch that was sent to you. Does the board have the sketch
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
with the photograph of the new cardboard? And the carport is open on all sides. It's roughly 19 by 19 feet. It will positively impact the design and the aesthetics of the neighborhood. We've had overwhelming support from the neighbors, and it's going to stick with that mid-century style that those houses were built with in the 1960s. And so we're before the board to ask for this variance.
Okay. Anything from the board?
Yes, Ms. Cotton, so it's hard to tell from the photographs, the before and after that was submitted, but looking at Google Streets, we can look inside and see that that is still an active carport. When I first saw them, I thought maybe it had been enclosed into the home and made into a den, as often happens.
Yes.
But, so there, it is still a functioning carport. Is
Negative.
it just the depth
Negative.
is an issue?
The carport is being closed in. We've already gotten a permit to do that, and that's in progress. So
So that's news, that's new information for us.
That's new information for us also.
is
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, based on the application and have you read the staff report for the case?
No.
So based on the application and the photographs and the details given, it was staff's understanding that this was just to be an extension of the carport.
Negative. We had told her that we were just downstairs getting the permit to close in the carport, and that's what Mr. Thompson said. But you can't build that the new carport in front without a variance. So that's when we went upstairs and told them we had made that application, that we could do that, but we had to get a variance to continue. So we made it a phase 2. So that was discussed with the staff.
Well, I don't think,
But there was no
I don't know that
pictures
that
to
got
offer.
from downstairs, I mean, that detail, I don't think, was that included? I mean, I can read it here. I don't think, was that
Let's see.
included in the application? That the carport was going to be enclosed and no longer usable at all?
Let's see.
Mr. Chair, that is
Yes.
the reason that you have the recommendation
Right.
from staff that you have, is because we were under the assumption, under the knowledge that the carport would continue to be used as is, and the additional extension would be the 6 feet in order for the car to be properly covered. From what I'm understanding from Ms. Cotton, the existing carports will be enclosed in
Yes.
totality.
Right.
And what we have done is not, the recommendations we've made to you are not reflective of that.
If you'll see at the bottom of the page, that there's a staff recommendation.
I don't have that.
Oh, okay, that should have been emailed, I assume they emailed that out. I'll read it. It says, staff recommends approval of a variance that would allow the carport to extend up to 6 feet into the front yard. If the recommended approval is granted, it would constitute a denial of the request to encroach 19 feet into the front yard. The reason being is we were under the assumption, based on the data that we had, or the staff had, was that you just somehow your cars didn't fit in the allotted space and you needed an extension. So that's.
No, that wasn't discussed with the staff member. The
That's an
staff
issue,
member was,
okay.
because we were working with the permit office on the entire matter, and that's when we were referred up to her, because
Okay.
the permit would not allow us to do anything but enclose the carport, which would leave us without a carport.
Right, okay. That makes sense now that it was a 19-foot request.
Yes, yes.
Okay,
I
all right.
I didn't see that. I can understand why you have that question,
Right,
because it
okay.
wasn't the correct information.
All right, that's all I need for now.
Yes, sir.
So for my clarification, the new structure is gonna be 19 feet from the front of the house, extending out into the yard, is that correct?
19 feet. Approximately 19 feet.
Okay. Staff, you have any comments on that?
If you go through the persons that are here for and against, then we have some recommendations after you complete that process.
Okay.
Does anybody else to speak?
We had a bunch of neighbors who wanted to be here in support of it, but didn't think we'd have any problems, so they didn't appear, but
Okay, for the record, is there anyone here speaking for case number 19-318-BAC? Okay. Is there anyone speaking against case number 19-318-BAC? Okay. Staff?
What we would ask you to do, if you would, zoning board of appeal board, is deferred continuance so we can do a better job of assessing what's being actually applied for and make a proper recommendations to you on this case. Because we definitely did not take into consideration that that's what the request was for.
Do you also have the sketch where we showed the distance between the neighbors and the distance from the street and the setback and all that, where we sketched that out and attached it to our application?
We should have that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You can see that, because it's set back pretty far from the street. Could you clarify something for me? You said the staff said that we needed 19 feet plus 6 feet?
No, we were recommending that the variance be reduced from the 19 feet that was being applied to 6 feet in order for the existing structure to cover.
No wonder, that's completely.
The carport. And we're well aware of that now.
Okay.
That's why I'm requesting to the board to defer this so that we can do a better job of vetting the application and make a recommendation.
I see.
Okay. Do I hear a motion?
I make a motion that we defer to next meeting.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Balcom, second by Mr. Berry, that we defer. Let's vote. Okay, motion carries.
Ms. Cotton, if you'll get with staff, they'll explain what happens next.
Very good. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
All right, next case number 19-319-BAC, Express Car Wash.
Good afternoon, I'm Chase Burns. My address is 165 AW Drive, Stonewall, Louisiana. And I'm representing Express Car Wash, my employer. So basically, what we have, you get that? Yeah, that's it right there. Yeah. So this is the corner of Burt Coons and Linwood. And it used to be an old gas station. I don't know you guys are familiar with that site. We're about halfway done with construction right now. And if you're familiar with that site, you'll know that the signs by the other businesses that are at that corner are relatively large due to the amount of traffic that passes by there and the speed limit. And that's because you can see that intersection from a good bit away, coming from almost every single direction. So what we're proposing is to have, I think what's under code being allowed is like an 80 square foot total sign for our main pole. And what we're proposing is it's 192 square foot. On the Burt Coon side, we will not have a sign on the Linwood location. So basically what we're asking for is just to combine those two and allow us to put the sign on the Burt Coon sign, and then we will do away with the sign on Linwood. So we'll have one less pole sign out by the street and just have one total on the Burt Coons or Burt Coon side. Anybody have any questions or anything?
Anything from the board?
It's kind of hard to see the dimensions of what the sign is, and actually this picture right here, that's not in the right spot. But this sign would be, is this all we have right here? Okay, so basically where this sign would be placed is right here. And this is Burt Coons, and this is Linwood. There won't be a sign on Linwood. And there will be one sign that'll be right here. And this is what the sign will look like. That's 40 feet tall. This oval is 20 feet wide. And you know, if you look at the square footage of the Sonic, the McDonald's, racetrack, Walmart, even, of their signs. They're much, much larger, almost to the point where if you would only allow us to put the site that was first permitted, the size sign that was first permitted, it would actually look relatively odd in comparison to what these other signs, the sizes of these other signs have. You wouldn't even be able to see our LED sign. It'd be hard to see our LED sign from the intersection itself.
Is it Ms. Burns?
Yes, sir.
So have you read the staff report for your case?
No, I'm not.
Okay, so a couple of things. One is, I wanted a response from you about that. One of our considerations for variances or a hardship.
Mm-hmm.
There doesn't seem to be a hardship by definition for this case, and I was wondering if you would like to address that, if you felt there was,
So,
you didn't know about. Hold on, secondly, just so you know, all the other signs you mentioned and all those signs along there are what we call non-conforming, meaning they are outside of the norms of what is allowed, but they were there pre-existing to the new UDC. So
Okay.
if anything happens to them, they cannot go back as they are. They have to go back as in meeting the new code.
I
So
understand.
if a tornado comes through and takes them all down, they can't go back to the size they are now.
Okay. So I know that there's been a billboard permitted at that corner, and it is, where's it? So, yeah, this corner right here. Are y'all aware of this?
Right.
Of the billboard?
Mr. Chair, this is why we asked the zoning administrator to be at these meetings. If there is a billboard permitted, he would be able to respond to that.
Okay, well, there is a billboard permitted. They've actually already started doing some of the construction, dropping the pole in the ground. And it's gonna be right here, I think 40 feet high. And so I feel like if we don't have the right, a sign large enough to kind of to mitigate, it's basically gonna block the little signs that we have, would be permitted.
Wait, sorry, show me exactly on
This
that.
sign, so this sign,
Show me where your sign's gonna be and where the billboard is permitted.
our sign will be right
There
here.
is no permitted billboard for that location.
There is,
No, there is not.
there's not a permitted one?
There's an application for a billboard at that location.
Okay, but where do you think the billboard is going?
Billboard is gonna be right here.
And is that,
And it's gonna, so it'll be
So-
like in a V, like this. Or, yeah.
and you know that because, I mean, is your company leasing to the land or in an
Yes.
agreement with them?
Yeah, right.
Okay,
It's not, it's the landlord that's,
so y'all don't own the land, y'all are leasing it?
the operating company doesn't own the land,
Okay. Okay. All right.
Ms. Dunn?
Okay, I just wanted to clarify what is the request, because I think you said 192?
Yeah, that's
And-
total. Total
Okay.
from, so if you add this and this together, it's 192. And so I just said, total 192. And basically, if you see what we knocked down, this sign right here, there's two of these, one on Glenwood and there was one on Burke Coons. And, what we were trying to get done is just say, hey, we'll knock down this hideous thing and we'll put up something nice on this corner. And if you'd allow us to use, the square footage of both sides, and kind of have something that's uniform looking, with the rest of the signs there, not just something. I mean, basically, we actually was there this morning, and you can imagine a sign a little bit larger than this table. I mean, a little bit larger than this right here, 40 feet up in the air. At 16 pixels, you're not going to be able to see it. It's not going to be legible. It'll just be useless. And that's kind of the point I'm trying to make. It's just it doesn't do you any good at that miles per hour, that speed limit. You're just not going to be able to pick up on it and actually read it until you're right up on it. And it just doesn't make it useful at all.
Your company has another sign at another location, and I can't recall the address now.
It's on Pines Road.
On Pines Road, that is a similar.
It's the exact same size as the sign. And so actually, it's a
It
little
seems
bit
to be
shorter.
It seems to be smaller.
It's a very, very small. Yeah, and you know, I don't think that we had an issue with it there because of where you could see it from. So like, you're not going, you're actually going slower on Pines Road. The speed limit's slower. And then the visibility. So like, when you make the corner, the furthest point you're going to see that sign is at the corner of West 70th and Pines Road, and you're looking up the hill and you see it. It is smaller. It's not easy to see from right there, but from the opposite way, you know, you're never going to see that sign until you're, 100 yards, from it. And at that point, it looks like it's the right size. It makes sense. You can read everything on it. You're not trying to make out what the LED sign says.
Right.
And
So let me ask you. This is a academic question. How much of your business is impulse?
I'd say 70.
As opposed to somebody, I need a car wash. I'm going to a car wash, and I know where I'm going.
I'd say 70 to 80% of our business is impulse. It's all of our percent. What I tell people all the time is like, if you took a one of my truck to a car wash, to one of our car washes, and then you took it to a competitor of ours, a good competitor of ours, and you brought them to me and said, okay, which one did you wash? I'd say I don't know. Our business is based a lot on perception, the value that we create from how convenient it is, how fast it is. You're making that decision when you see the car wash. I don't think most people don't leave their house and say, I'm going to go get my car washed. I think that's kind of how it used to be back in the full service days. And the business model has moved kind of further from that into this express model. And it's a lot of it's impulse. It's kind of like standing in line, because that's why we build next to grocery stores and stuff. We're kind of like the checkout aisle at the grocery store. When you're sitting there waiting to check out, you're like looking around, see it, and you put it in your buggy. And that's kind of the same thing we do. We get right up next to the Walmarts, and they leaving, they see it, up getting a car wash today. So our signage is a huge deal for us. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't. And so I just ask that you guys,
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else speaking for case number 19-319-BAC? Anyone speaking against case number 19-319-BAC? There's none.
If you recall, Mr. Chair, staff recommendation is that this application be denied, and we don't think that a adequate hardship has been exhibited today to change that recommendation.
Great, thank you, sir. Anything else from the board? Questions?
Just a little clarification on the billboard. You said that they have started construction on that.
He said that they applied for one. They brought the equipment.
Wait, so, point of order, could we have him come back to the podium please for this?
His time is up.
I understand, we can't really address them unless we make a motion.
Okay. Want to make a motion to bring it back forward?
I'll make a motion to get clarification on the billboard construction.
Anyone second?
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Farrell, second by Mr. Balcom. So you can come back to the podium, please. I'm sorry, let's vote on that. Okay, motion carries. Yes, sir. I'm sorry, what's your question?
Well, I was just, to get a little clarification, because I would think that if a billboard is going in that position, that would create a pretty significant hardship, that I would think that kind of defines what a hardship would be.
Correct.
So just some clarification from the zoning, or construction, I mean,
They've brought the auger out there to drill the hole, so I don't know.
An application has been submitted for a billboard at that location. It's under review right now.
So to clarify that, time frame of that process.
Well, I think
should there be an auger on site?
It shouldn't be. So actually, when I leave this meeting, I will have to go see if any construction is being done.
Right.
But the application, I believe, was submitted yesterday, and it's under review. It probably another day or so before a determination is made. Or
So,
whether-
so you'll make a determination within a few days?
Yeah, but if the billboard is meets all the requirements of the UDC, the application will be approved
Okay.
to erect the billboard at that site.
And do you happen to know what is allowed height-wise for that billboard in that location?
I do not, but I can tell you. Give me a second.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Mr. Farrell that this could be a mitigating point, or at least something for the staff to revisit.
Right.
If this is actually the case, you know, will this impact the height of this, will it impact their sign? I don't, you know, I'm not sure.
We're not opposed, Mr. Chair, to, because of the new information that's been submitted to do additional reviews. I caution you that we will go strictly by hardships, and the hardships are defined in the criteria, and a billboard being erected is not a hardship, because they have the option of also relocating the sign on their property. But we will be more than happy if you are so inclined to defer for a month to look at that situation and make a recommendation to you.
45 feet, you know, C3 did.
Okay.
Anything else from the board?
No.
Okay, do I hear a motion?
I move to defer, continue for 30 days to allow, for Mr. Jordan to report to staff on the outcome of the application of the proposed billboard, and then for that information to be taken into account for staff's recommendation, whether it be amended or not.
Second.
Been moved by Mr. Berry, second by Mr. Farrell, that we defer. Let us vote. Motion carries. That brings us to the end of our public hearing. Do we have any old business?
Can I make one comment?
Yes, sir.
In regards to Willis Knighton, it's not a billboard they're building, it's an on-premise sign.
Right.
Right.
But they refer to it as a billboard, and it's not.
Yeah.
We need to stay in order, Mr. Chair.
Right.
That's out of order too.
Okay, old business? Any new business? Other matters that we need to review? Anyone have any comments?
Just one last comment. Everybody in the horseshoe, with the exception of Mr. Berry, needs to be put on your calendar, if you will, November 9th from 8 to 12, because this is a time that we need to take care of the planning commission training. You have two members that have not eclipsed a year, but you have others that may be very close, if not eclipsed a year and not had the training. And the law requires that we get the training done within a year's time of the appointment. We should have, just for informational purposes, by the referrals that you've done, we should have help the agenda next month with our 7 to 8 cases.
Okay, thank you, sir. Anyone else? I want to welcome our newest board member, Ms. Brittany Dunn. Would you tell us a little bit about yourself?
If you've been
Hey. I'm the chairman here.
Yeah. My name is Brittany Dunn. I am married and I have a 4-year-old son. I was recently appointed as a joint appointee by Caddo and by the Shreveport City Council. Prior to this, well, right now I have my own accounting firm. I've been running that for 2 years. Prior to that, I worked about 6.5 to 7 years, CPA firms here, Shreveport, and then I also worked for about 2.5 years at an oil and gas company as assistant financial controller before becoming self-employed in 2017.
Oh, good. Once again, glad to have you. If I need any counting done, I'll certainly give you a call.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else from the board? Meeting adjourned.
So it depends on the zone. Yeah. Commercial industrial.
And he didn't get it, so